There's two cities that say a lot about this early era of AI. One, a tech comeback story yet to be determined. The other, a crowded metropolis desperate for better options. In both cities, AI appears to be either the solution shaping its future or a flash in the pan. Despite tech-fueled riches, San Francisco has become the poster child for struggling cities. Homelessness, social disorder, bad politics, skyrocketing housing costs, and a pandemic brought the Bay Area to its knees. Over 8% of the population left the city between 2020 and 2022. The growth of remote work and taxes led to an exodus to new startup hotbeds like Miami, Austin, and LA. Elon Musk left in 2021 alongside many thousands of rich entrepreneurs, programmers, and managers. This left about 30% of offices in the city vacant. And with the downtown accounting for 75% of the city's GDP, thus most of its property taxes, this cut revenue by more than 35%, making rebounding through government investment nearly impossible. It's what the San Francisco Chronicle called the financial doom loop. From 2019 to 2020, the police force shrunk 14% and led to an extremely relaxed enforcement approach. Just 52% of Americans deemed the city a safe place to live, an 18% slump from 2006. Things got so bad that a brand new Whole Foods in San Francisco tallied over 560 police reports from people fighting, throwing food, and threatening employees with sticks and knives and guns. That rotisserie chicken makes folks do crazy things. Within 13 months of opening, Whole Foods closed the location.
Shoplifting has been a major problem, in addition to the nearby open drug use.
Perception of local leaders was further damaged by blatant corruption.
San Francisco's ongoing public corruption scandal.
In 2022, the former director of Public Works was sentenced to 7 years in prison for taking huge bribes. City obituaries were being written up at lightning speed, some with a political edge, and some from The Onion. One of the richest cities in the richest country, responsible for the proliferation of the richest product. But its trajectory was Detroit, which cratered from the exodus of a once bustling car manufacturing industry. For a long stretch, the recipients of the money pouring into San Francisco largely ignored local politics, and what followed was a string of governing mishaps such as ridiculous permitting rules, i.e. the $1.7 million cost of a single public toilet, to a deteriorating approach to public drug use. All of this translated to lagging investment. In 2014, San Francisco attracted 4 times the venture funding New York received. By 2020, that number was down to 2.5 times and falling. But by the end of 2023, things looked different. Overdoses started to fall precipitously. Car break-ins cut in half. Popular neighborhoods were getting filled. So how did a city so rattled by a seemingly insurmountable downward spiral bounce back? The same way it was founded, a gold rush. This time, AI. San Francisco has distinct talent advantages. Its proximity to Stanford and UC Berkeley has led to a steady stream of AI talent, which is hard to come by as we talk about in this video. Nearly 1 out of 5 OpenAI employees are graduates of these universities. AI startup CEOs are constantly popping in to share thoughts, insights, and do some soft recruiting. And it's not much of a journey for these guys. San Francisco, and more broadly the Bay Area, is home to OpenAI, Anthropic, Databricks, and Scale AI. Those 4 alone are responsible for about $25 billion in fundraising and a slew of amazing models. In fact, no city poses as a true competitor to San Francisco's grip on the AI startup market. Almost a quarter of all conference papers on the topic can be attributed to the Bay Area and its neighboring towns. This academic edge has provided an AI startup boom and innovation, which has further resulted in bigger and bigger venture checks. And with big checks translating to a crop of deep-pocketed employees, rent prices are on the rise in the city's most desirable neighborhoods. AI talent needs a place to live, and San Francisco looks like the place to be. Remember those tech CEOs that largely ignored the politics of their deteriorating city? Those guys are getting in the fray in a major way. For example, president of Y Combinator Garry has gotten very involved in local politics, donating an estimated $400,000 plus so far with 3 goals in mind: a stronger police force to combat property crime and anti-Asian violence, a great public school district, which he attributes to his own ability to go from near poverty to success, and more housing for all, including San Francisco's shrinking middle class. These seemingly centrist views have been labeled as right-wing by many in the far-left city, to which Garry has had choice words. And this isn't an attack on left-leaning politics. As Socrates once said, both sides kinda stink. It's the outcome of poor policy for operating a functional city that people want to live in and build businesses in. So there have been examples of far left-leaning progressives being trimmed from government roles. In 2022, District Attorney Chesa Boudin lost his job. Residents are increasingly supportive of moderate Democrats who are looking for actual solutions to homelessness and addressing the mental illness crisis in the city. Better resources, more support, and actual police presence for a start.
And it comes to an end when we take the steps to be more aggressive with law enforcement and less tolerant of all the bullshit that has destroyed our city.
This is having a trickle-down effect that makes San Francisco more livable for those trying to create startups, especially AI startups. For the city, AI has opened up a window to capturing the magic that brought it to the forefront of America's economic engine. A number of things have to go right to capitalize on the opportunity, from political shakeups to continued funding and innovation in AI. But the window is open just enough to make it happen. So that's a city that AI funding and innovation has, in a relatively short time frame, helped steer straight. But a more interesting discussion regarding AI is the use of it in crowded cities to operate more efficiently. Let's switch the conversation to the East Coast, where AI is in its early trials as a solution for a hectic, crowded, and diverse city, New York City. You see, New York is a difficult city in many ways. You have to have a certain amount of energy, toughness, tolerance for the bizarre, and a genuine enjoyment of carbo loading to endure it. As a home to over 8 million people, it's also a difficult city for local government to operate. That struggle has come to the forefront in the city's uneven comeback from the pandemic. The population shrunk 5.3% in the wake of the pandemic. Crime rose as streets and subways became displays of mental illness episodes and robberies. The growing rate of incidents encouraged a worsening perception around crime in the city. It got so bad that Governor Kathy Hochul deployed the National Guard into the subway system to demonstrate a renewed dedication to safety, because nothing says everything's fine like some camo-wearing dudes walking around with rifles. Unlike San Francisco, there's no specific political policy or a swell and outflow of venture capital that have shaped New York's shifting perception. It's just a huge, complex city that has become increasingly difficult to manage. So, can AI help? Mayor Eric Adams has said, "This city has a technology mayor. Bring us your technologies, let us test it." And he clearly means it.
We have been so afraid of technology, so afraid of transforming our city. It's almost embarrassing how this city is so far behind so many other cities. We're putting technology at the center of running our city.
The city has tested advanced tech solutions in ways creepy, crappy, and potentially effective. Let's start with the creepy in the non-government sector. Madison Square Garden Entertainment owns both the legendary namesake venue in the heart of Manhattan and Radio City Music Hall. Under the direction of Knicks and Rangers owner James Dolan, the venues utilize facial recognition technology. It works through a series of overhead cameras doing constant collection of facial biometric data and comparing it to a database of band patrons. This band list includes anyone working for law firms in any kind of litigation against the company. This means everyone from lawyers to the front desk.
You get to say who you serve. And if it's somebody who is suing you and trying to put you out of business or take your money from you, right, etc., you have a right to be, yes, a little unhappy about it.
Despite awful PR and weird responses to the issue, New York City laws have fallen in favor of MSG. New York City's Biometric Identifier Information Code makes it illegal to sell, lease, trade, share in exchange for anything of value or otherwise profit from the transaction of biometric identifier information. But as far as blocking adversarial attendees, That apparently flies in the Big Apple. There's obvious privacy concerns here. It's a slippery slope. Who falls into the category of adversarial? Today it's a lawyer. Tomorrow it's a fan with a mean tweet. The next day it's a team that blows it in the playoffs. Biometric data gets worse when blended with AI. If a model is trained to automatically determine if an attendee is an adversary, that's bad. And if you're not sure why, let me introduce you to Google Gemini's 1.5 image model release. A few tweaks to the training set, and an entire race was eliminated from view. Were a few tweaks to MSG's existing infrastructure from a realization of AI's dark side. Let's move on to the crappy. This is Mayor Eric Adams alongside the least effective cop in the city. The Nightscope K5 security robot was introduced into the city's busiest subway stop. Its use, according to the mayor, was to show security camera presence in the station to any potential criminals. It's a pretty obvious attempt to make New York City seem like a futuristic city with many tools to protect citizens and invite money. K5 doesn't really do that, which is probably why it's been pulled from duty.
The Nightscope K5 is being put on pause.
The city is also launching a weapon detector into turnstiles, provided by a company named Evolve, which currently outfits many stadiums, schools, and more. The move has caught some heat as the accuracy of its machines have been brought into question, with umbrellas being marked as guns and lunchboxes as bombs. But hey, don't we mistake things for other things from time to time? Kind of. Important context around the implementation of any new technology, such as the gun detector, is New York's POST Act, which aims to curb privacy invasion. Tech advocates would call it a layer of bureaucracy that inhibits finding helpful solutions. Privacy advocates would call it the last line of defense to protect individual rights that are fundamental to our democracy. Both sides have good points, bad points, and a lot to say to each other in the form of Karen-style tweets. We've painted a fairly bleak portrait of the use of AI in New York City, but let's look at the ways this technology could make New York City better. We'll start in the subways. There are 26 subway lines throughout New York City, featuring 470 stops and 665 miles of track. It's notoriously hard to monitor and police. Most of the stations are already outfitted with security cameras that are mostly used to review footage after something bad has already happened. But what if they could utilize AI to recognize patterns and better prevent crime? For example, an increase in turnstile jumping is directly correlated to a rise in crime in that station. If security cameras were trained to recognize these turnstile jumps and create a prediction of crime in a station, police resources could be better allocated than the currently scattershot approach of having officers roam through the subways. These cameras could also be used to recognize activities such as someone being robbed, a fight breaking out, or yelling, and alert authorities to investigate. AI is really effective at parsing through data to create patterns. Prediction is the basis of AI models and informs everything from chat interaction to the operation of driverless cars. Turning security cameras into a stream of data that encourages insightful, human-first responses could make the city much more efficient. This infrastructure runs into issues similar to the MSG example. However, it promotes the value of having a human in the loop and is more geared towards smarter resource allocation and crime prevention than allowing AI to manage everything end to end. Imperfect? Probably. But this is the competition. Policing is just one part of keeping a city of this scope on track, and the city has other notable examples of attempting to use AI. They are using it to optimize bus lines, determine tree pruning schedules, review and audit utility bills, and have tried implementing a business chatbot for their online portal. Results for that have been mixed. The point is, AI is already starting to shape parts of the city, and it's only in a trial run phase. If the technology shows promise, it will become an integral part of making the city more efficient and safer, which means it can attract more money, tourists, and maybe, just maybe, a championship caliber basketball team. Let us know what you think of AI being deployed in cities in the comments. Do you see this as leading to a Big Brother scenario of governance or a better run, more efficient city?